The second treatise of the philosophers Mercury and the medium of tinctures. In the first treatise we have written of spirits and tinctures of metals, and so on, declaring all their properties and natures, and what every metal generateth. In this second we shall treat of the medium of a tincture, that is, of the philosophers Mercury, whereby are made the tinctures and leaven, or leaven of metals, in 7 chapters following. Chapter 1. Of what the tinctures and leavens are made. Make this a little bit bigger for me. Whosoever desireth to have the tincture of metals, he ought to take the philosopher's mercury, and let him cast the same into its own end, that is, into quick mercury, from whence it proceedeth, and hereby it will come to pass that the philosopher's mercury shall be dissolved in the quick mercury, and shall receive its strength, so that the mercury of the philosophers killeth the quick mercury, and make it remain fixed in the fire of the same existence with itself. For there is the like concordancy between these mercuries as between male and female, man and wife, for they are both derived of the gross spirits of metals, except that the body of soul remain firm and fixed in the fire, but the quick mercury is not fixed. Nevertheless, they may be appropriated one to another, as grain of corn or feed are to the earth, which we will demonstrate by an example after this manner. If any one sow barley, the same he shall reap. If wheat or rye or other grains, the same he shall gather, and so on. Even so it is in this art. If any one sow the gold of soul, the same he reapeth, and of the moon he shall gather. And so also of all other metals. For this reason we say in this place that the tinctures do spring out of metals, that is, out of the philosopher's mercury, and not from the quick mercury, but this produceth the seed which first conceiveth. Chapter 2. Of the conjugation of male and female, of man and woman. It is first of all necessary to be known that the mercury of the philosophers and the quick mercury are both to be conjoined and firmly united and fixed together. How much thereof is to be taken, neither more nor less than equal is to be taken, lest it hindereth or altogether destroyeth the whole work. For the feed or seed is suffocated with superfluity, that it cannot live so long until it be joined and fixed to the philosopher's mercury. But if there be too little that it cannot be dissolved into a body, it is also destroyed, that it cannot be able to bring forth any fruit. Wherefore the artificer ought certainly to know how much of the one and the other ought to be taken, if he would bring this work to its perfect end. The receipt thereof is this: take 1 part to 2, or 3 to 4, and thou canst not err, but shalt attain to thy desired end. Of the forms of the instruments of glass, chapter 3. The materials being thus rightly and duly prepared and mixed together, then you must have glass vessels of due proportion and even fitness and capacity, neither too great nor too little, but fit. For if the vessels be too big, the female, that is, the phlegm, is dispersed and lost, whereby it comes to pass that the seed cannot bring forth. Where the vessels are too little, the growth is suffocated, that it cannot come to fruit. No otherwise, but as if seed should be sown under trees or under thorns, so that it cannot bud and spring up, but perisheth without any fruit. Therefore no little error may happen by the vessels, which being once committed cannot be any more mended in the same work, neither can that work be perfected or brought to any good end. Wherefore note what follows, to wit, that you take 3 ounces with half and 4 pounds, so the proceeding is right, and you shall preserve the matter that it be not dispersed, nor the phlegm, nor the generation impedited, and so on. Chapter 4. Of the properties of the fire. When you have placed the matter in fit vessels, you shall carefully keep and maintain the natural heat, that the excess heat do not overcome or abound over the internal. For if the heat be too much, there can be no conjunction made, by reason that the matter is dispersed, and burnt by the vehemency of the heat, so that no good ariseth thereby. Therefore the middle region of the air is by nature ordained between heaven and earth. Otherwise the sun and stars would burn up all the creatures upon the earth, so that nothing could be produced or spring forth from it. Therefore so work that you put such an airy part or distance between the matter and fire. After this manner let it be done, that the heat may not easily do hurt anyways, nor disperse the matter, much less burn it. But if the fire be too little and not quick enough, the spirit then resteth, the fire nothing operating upon its humidity. Neither will it be exsicated nor fixed. For the spirit of metals are dead of themselves, and do rest, for they cannot at all operate of themselves, unless they are quickened by the fire. It is no otherwise in the great universe of the world, where seed being cast into the earth is dead, and cannot grow nor increase of itself, unless it be quickened by the heat of the sun. It is chiefly necessary, therefore, in this work, to erect and build the fire right and proportionably, neither too great nor too little. Otherwise this work will never be brought to a perfect and desired end. Chapter 5. Of the signs appearing in the union of conjunction. The fire being moderately kept and maintained, the matter by little and little will be moved to blackness. Afterwards, when the dryness begins to work upon the humidity, there will likewise arise in the glass various flowers of diverse colors, such as appear like the tail of a peacock, and such as no man ever saw before. Also sometimes the glass appeareth as if it were almost drawn into gold, which being perceived, it showeth certainly that the seed of the male doth rule and operate upon the seed of the female, and that the same is fixed together, that is, this mercury is fixed and worketh upon the quick mercury, and beginneth to be mixed with it. Afterwards, when the humidity begins to weary away by the dryness, those colours do disperse, and the matter then beginneth at length to wax white, and so proceedeth until it come to the highest degree of whiteness. But especially it is to be noted that the thing is not to be hastened, according to their opinions, who suppose such work to be like unto that which is discerned in the production of corn, and of mankind, to wit, the time of bringing forth the one is the space of 9 months, the other 10 or 12 months. For so soon the sun and moon do cause maturity, and bring to the birth, as the infant from the belly of his mother, and so the grain from the bowels of the earth. For it is to be known that everything that is quickly or hastily made or born doth soon perish. An example hereof both men and herbs do afford. They which are soonest produced or born, their life is short. It is not so with the sun and the moon, for they cause a far more perfect nature in men, whereby it comes to pass that they produce long life to them, and preserve them from many accidents or diseases. Chapter 6. Of the knowledge of the perfect tincture. In the foregoing chapter we have set forth how the matter itself worketh by degrees, but in this we shall declare by what means it may be known when it is perfect. Thus do take the white stone of the moon, by which the white springeth, and separate a little piece from it with a pair of skizzers, and put it upon a plate of copper, heating it glowing hot in the fire. If it smoke, then the stone is not perfect. Therefore it must remain longer in the decoction, until the stone come to its degree of perfection. But if it do not smoke, then be assured it is perfect. The same is to be done with the red stone of the sun, in the degrees of the operation thereof. Chapter 7. To augment or multiply the tinctures. When you would multiply or increase the tincture, you have found, mixed it together again with common mercury, and work it in all things as at first, and double 1 part 100 times more than it was colored before. This do oftentimes over again, until you have as much matter as you will, and by how much the longer it remaineth in the fire, by so much the higher and more sublime will the degrees thereof be, so that 1 part thereof will change the infinity of the quick mercury into the best and most perfect luna and sol. Now you have the whole progression from the beginning to the end, wherewith we shall end this second treatise, and begin the third. End of Second Treatise. Let us read the third treatise. In the second treatise we have told how the tinctures or leavens ought to be made. In this, the third, we shall declare and amply set forth wherewith the tinctures of the sun and moon are made, and after what manner Sol and the other planets ought to be made, to wit, with the furnace and the fire. Treatise 3, Chapter 1, of the building of the furnace and of the fire. Mercurius Hermes Trismegistus saith, that he which would perfect this art must, as it were, build a new world, for after the same manner as God created heaven and earth, the furnace with the fire is to be built and governed. That is to say, after this manner. First, let there be a furnace built of the height of 6 spans, extendeth from the top of the fingers to the thumb, and in the breadth of 1 handful. In the inside let it be round and plain, lest the coals cleave unto it. From whence let it be a little decline to the border thereof, and let there be holes, lest underneath 4 fingers broad, and let every hole of the furnace be supplied with a copper cauldron to contain the water. Afterwards take good and hard coals, which you shall break in gobbets about the bigness of a walnut. With these fill the long furnace, which is then to be stopped up, that they may not burn out. And afterwards let some coals be kindled into the holes below. If the fire be too great, lay a stone before it. If too little, stir the coals with an iron instrument, that they may be pierced with the air, and the heat may be increased. This way you may keep your fire, according to the true exigency of nature, neither too excessive nor too small, but most fit and apt for the motion of the matter. This is compared to the firmament. There is also in this place another firmament, to wit, the matter contained in the glass, after that which followeth the form of the world. Therefore the furnace is to be placed as the sun in the great world, which giveth light, life, and heat to the universal furnace, and all instruments, and to all other things whatsoever concluded under it. Chapter 2. Of the conjunction of the male with the female. Having now treated of the furnace and the fire, wherein the tinctures are to be prepared, we intend largely to write how the man and woman do agree, and how they are joined together, that is to say, after this manner. Take the mercury of the philosophers, prepared and mundified in its highest degree, this resolve with his wife, to wit, with quick mercury, as the woman receiveth the man, and as the man cleaveth to the woman, and even as a man loveth his wife, and the woman loveth her husband, so do the philosophers mercury and the quick mercury prosecute the greatest love, and are moved by nature with a great affection towards us. So therefore the one and the other mercuries are conjoined each to another, and one with another, even as the man with the woman, and she with him, according to their bodies, that there is no difference between them, and they are congruent in their strength and properties, save only that the man is firm and fixed, but the woman is volatile in the fire. And for this cause the woman is united to the man, so that she receiveth the man, and he fixeth and fasteneth her firm and constant in any balance as it followeth. They are both to be so close luted and covered that the woman may not evaporate or breathe out, otherwise the whole work will come to nothing. Chapter 3 of the copulation of the male and female. When you have placed the man and the wife in the matrimonial bed, metaphorically speaking, if you would that he may operate upon her, so that she may bring forth, it is necessary and must be that the man have his operation upon the woman, so that the seed of the woman may be coagulated and joined together into a mass by the seed of the man, otherwise it produceth no fruit. Chapter 4 of the philosophical conjunction of the man and woman. Afterwards, if you perceive the woman to be of a black color, then certainly be assured that she hath conceived, and is made pregnant. And when the seed of the woman embraceth the seed of the man, this is the first sign and key of this whole art. Therefore, be careful continually to preserve the natural heat, and the blackness will appear, and be dispersed and consumed away by natural heat, as one worm eateth and devoureth another, and continueth consuming so long until there be no more blackness left. Chapter 5 of the black color. The blackness manifestly appearing, then know that the woman is pregnant. But when the peacock's tail begins to appear, that is, when many various colors will appear in the glass, it showeth the working of the philosopher's mercury upon the vulgar mercury, and it stretcheth out her wings until she hath overcome it. Therefore, when the dryness operates upon the moisture, these colors do appear. Chapter 6 of the buds springing and appearing in the glass. When you perceive these various colors, then be constant in your work, continuing the fire, until the color of the peacock's tail be fully consumed, and until the matter of the moon appear white and candid as snow, and that the vessel hath brought it to the very degree of its perfection. Then at last break a little piece thereof, and put it on a copper plate in the fire. If it remain constant and firm, and keep its tincture, it is then brought to the most perfect substance of Luna. This king hath strength and power, not only to transmute and change all metals, but also to cure all diseases and infirmities. This king is laudable and adorned with many virtues, and with so great power that he can transmute and change Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury into the most constant Luna, to every touchstone, and also frees and delivers the bodies of men from infinite diseases, as from fevers, feebleness, leprosy, the French disease, or morbus gallicus, and from a great many other infirmaries and diseases, which no herbs, roots, or the like medicines can possibly cure or take away. Whosoever maketh daily use of this medicine shall attain to and preserve himself in a sound and perfect long life. Chapter 7 of the red color. After this king is endued with a perfect whiteness, the fire is constantly to be continued, until the whiteness begins to take a yellow color, which color follows next after the whiteness. For by how much the longer the heat worketh upon the white and dry matter, the more yellow and saffron-like groweth the color, until it come to perfect redness, by which degrees the fire worketh to the highest degree of the red color. Then is the substance of gold prepared, and there is born an oriental king, sitting in his throne, and ruling over all the princes of the world. Chapter 8 of the augmentation or multiplication hereof. The multiplication of this matter is to be after this manner, to wit, let it be resolved into its moisture, and then put the fire to it, to the height as at first, and it will work upon its moisture oftener than before, and change the same into its own substance, turning the whole quantity of the matter into the substance itself, wherefore the treasures of the earth are unspeakable, the world cannot compare unto them. Witness Augurelus, the little augur, or the little... It's not golden one, it's not Augurelius. The little soothsayer, Augurelus. The conclusion. This secret was kept by the most ancient fathers amongst their most occult and hidden secrets, who kept the same, lest it should come to the hands of wicked men, who might thereby be enabled the better and more fully to accomplish their wickedness and evil ends. We therefore do require you whosoever shall attain to this gift of God, that you will imitate the Father, and secretly use and preserve this divine mystery. For if you tread it under your feet, or cast pearls before swine, you shall receive a great judgment from God, the great judge and revenger of all things. But unto those whom God by his singular and special grace hath given abstinency from all vices, this art shall be more fully revealed than to any other. For with one such man shall more wisdom be found than among 1,000 sons of the world, by whom this art shall never be found out. Whosoever shall find out this secret and attain to this gift of God, let him praise the Most High God, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. The grace of God let him only implore, that he may use the same to his glory, and the profit of his neighbor. This the merciful God grant to be done through Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord. Amen.